So what are the strategies specifically that you use to amplify your own executive presence now? Because you've progressed so much in your career, and very quickly too, I might add, in the last 12 months. Everything that fell in, that you put out there to the universe just seemed to fall into your lap. So can you talk a little bit about the strategies that you've been using?
Yes, well, in terms of executive presence, it really does support your leadership effectiveness. So I do have three strategies that I can share that I use to amplify my executive presence. And first one is the use of voice. So I've learned that the voice is an instrument and you can learn to play it like any instrument. And many people know the techniques of how to use voice, but do you do them? And it's not just about, for women, oh, I'm going to drop my tone so that I sound a little bit like Margaret Thatcher or whomever you might think of with a deeper voice. But it is about using it to support your message. And I do practice that, and I use a voice warm-up each day. And I've had the benefit of a brilliant coach to help me with that. Second part is around the body language, really supporting your messages. And there's so many symbols in how we move and even where we choose to sit. I had a great mentor of mine in my first C-suite role who came up and gave me a little bit of feedback around where I was sitting at the table in the boardroom. And I hadn't considered that. I hadn't wanted to go. I was the most senior person in the room, but I hadn't wanted to go and sit at the head of the table at that stage. And so that was sending a symbol in quite a traditional organization at that time of me not taking control of that meeting. So I did take on the feedback, and it's simple things like that that can make a difference. I would say that I'm still learning though. So I do try not to point, for example. But a photographer did snap me an event really recently where I was doing this. So good reminder to keep learning. And the third part is that I really have some techniques around is, of course, the physical image. So I do consider the details, and I do that a lot more now, having worked with you, Julie. I use that sort of physical image through social media, through speaking engagements, and in person and through virtual meetings. So I think each of those contexts is really important. And I think that in terms of the online meetings, this is one that can be underplayed because they are so heavily utilized now. And you can have a situation, many of us have faced this, where you're the person dialing in or one of a minority dialing in, and there's a lot of people in the room and you've got this hybrid scenario. So hybrid scenario can be even more challenging than pure online. So again, I received some feedback that it was a little bit bland, my background and how I was coming across from just my surroundings. I had beige wall behind me, nothing really going on there. And somebody said to me, look, that doesn't really reflect who you are as a leader. And I already knew that the physical background was a great thing to be able to adjust. I also knew that speaking up in those online meetings could be really challenging. So again, I've taken that and adjusted that. So I would say if you are in an online meeting, some organizations still have a culture whereby people don't turn on their cameras. It's much more difficult to show your executive presence without your camera on. So I would recommend get the camera on. Do look to get your points across just as you would in a room. And that way you can have a lot more impact and those meetings will be a lot more meaningful.